Okay, I'm here. So my apologies for that. And I see that I am the only one here, which is fine. I'm just going to start talking. Hopefully, some people can join. Sorry for anyone who had joined before. Let me tell you something, this YouTube thing is not easy because I already said this before, you have to be your lighting person, your camera person, your makeup, your outfit, your your creative director. You have to be all those things. And so hopefully some folks can join. But I'm just going to jump right in and I'm going to be looking at my phone because I have notes on my phone. So, okay. Um, well, hopefully, as you guys join, you will like this video. So please do give me a like. And I made it just for subscribers. So subscribers only because y'all need to subscribe. So we're going to be talking about my experience on YouTube. Last time I checked my analytics, it was like something to the effect of, I think 70 to 80% of people who are watching my videos are actually not subscribed. So I don't know what that's about, but yeah, definitely for these types of things, subscribers only. And as you guys come in, if you can let me know where you're from in the chat, I would love to know just kind of like where you're from. So are you in Canada? I know I have a group of people. Thank you. Hi, Broken Traditions. Thank you for coming back, and sorry for the little technical difficulty. I'm gonna get better. You're really good. I can probably learn a lot from you as far as going live. Um, yeah, I'm gonna work on that. But Atlanta, Georgia. I didn't realize you were. I don't know why I thought you were in New York. I think maybe you're from New York. You definitely have a New York accent, but Atlanta, Georgia. Okay. Let me know where you guys are from, or at least where you live currently. So if you see me looking to the side, I'm looking at my notes. But so this is going to be a different. You say you hate going live. That's so funny. Listen, I'm like this. I see why I don't go live a lot because I'm like it's a lot going on. And then I was pretty much on time, but I'm sometimes one of those people that can run on African time, and so it's kind of like when you go live, you got to be on time. You got to be there when you say you're going to be there. And when you upload, I could be up at 2 o'clock in the morning working on my video and put it out when I feel like it. So, um, but this is going to be a different chat, so a little bit different than my typical videos. And I'll admit that there's a little bit of what do you call that? Kind of, I don't know about imposter syndrome, but I feel like I'm one of those people that I like, oh, I have to share something insightful. And this is just going to be a talk. So maybe I'll say something insightful, but the intention is not necessarily to be super insightful, but it's really just to share my experience here on YouTube with the hope that it helps either people who want to do YouTube or also resonates with folks who are creators. And I'm going to be interacting with you all. So oh, hey, established 87. Thank you for coming. And you know what? I see you. I just want to thank some of you all because there are some names, and one name is EST 87. I'm assuming that means established 87. Um, there's some names that I've been seeing consistently for like the last year. So I just want to thank you all. Broken Traditions, you and I have been kind of watching each other's videos for a minute. I just really do thank you because you guys really do keep the lights on and you make this possible. You are the reason why I stay up till sometimes till 2 o'clock in the morning working on my videos. So thank you for coming. And I definitely want this to be interactive. So by all means, if you guys have questions, if there's things you want to know, this will be the time to ask. And please do, as you come in, like the video. And if you're not subscribed, subscribe, because you cannot comment unless you cannot participate in the chat unless you are a subscriber. All right. So I'm just gonna, again, I'm sharing my experience being a YouTuber for the last 2 years. And the first thing I'll share, and this is something that I shared before, I asked this question probably a year ago. Am I a YouTuber with a side business? or am I a business owner with a YouTube channel? And and those things are very different. So there are YouTubers who just happen to have a business on the side. And then there are actually business owners who are on YouTube to promote their business. And I have been trying to answer that question for the last couple years. And I think, sorry, I'm going to kind of change my angle a little bit. I think what has, this is a better angle. You guys have it. I have to be mindful of my background here because this is like my real, I don't use virtual backgrounds. But I've been trying to answer this question, and essentially what has happened is that I got on YouTube as a business owner. So initially, my very first videos, it was really, I'd started my business, Curated Legacy, and I really just wanted to share some things. And then my hope would be that people would watch my videos, people would decide if they wanted to work with me as a coach. And then, my YouTube videos was going to kind of help funnel people into my business. And I actually got caught up in the world of YouTube. So my intention was never to be a YouTuber. It was more a result of a video that went viral, the first video that ever went, quote, viral. I call it viral because at the time I literally had like under 100 subscribers. And that was the BBL epidemic won't save us. And when that happened, I was like, oh, this is interesting. And so I kind of kept going and making videos, and I really downplayed my business. So I have a business. My business is active. However, I have not really promoted my business like that. If you notice at the end of my videos, I kind of just gloss over it and a lot of that has to do with me planning my wedding and doing a lot of other things. And I just really didn't feel like I have time. So I'll be completely honest that I'm in a phase right now of reevaluating. Do I want to continue to be a YouTuber or do I want to be the business owner that has the YouTube channel? And my hope is that maybe I'll say something in this live stream that will answer that question for me. Maybe you all may help me, as you hear me talk, something might resonate and you might have some advice for me, but I'm just being completely transparent that is what I'm trying to figure out. Established 87, you say you've been promoting because the other side live on here and you seem to have a life outside of YouTube. Yes, I definitely have a life outside of YouTube. That is very, very much for sure. So, just really trying to balance all of that. And fun fact about me is that I'm actually not like a social media person like that. And what I mean by that is that, before I got on YouTube, I was bare minimum with social media. I would post on Facebook, post my daughter, post things about my family. But for the most part, I don't spend a lot of time scrolling. And I'll look at friends here and there if they have updates, but I try to get off. I'm like, okay, I had enough. I might scroll for 10 minutes and I'm done. So, but YouTube, see, I don't actually watch TV. YouTube is like my television. So if I'm doing any scrolling, it's looking at content on YouTube. And so that is why it probably seems like I'm like this big social media, but I'm really not. And I'm still that way. I mean, I'm still very much, I'll post my content on Instagram, post myself on YouTube. I'll definitely spend time watching YouTube. Broken Traditions is a channel that you already know. I have been frequenting a lot lately, and some other creators. But yeah, overall, I'm really like not the kind that's going to spend all day on Instagram or all day on Facebook. And so, like I said, I really need to kind of figure out my next moves. And I actually do have some ideas that I'm going to be sharing later. But let me just jump into this real quick. So let me read your comment. You said, I'm the opposite. I started off as a YouTuber and now I'm a business owner. Oh, really? That's interesting. If you wouldn't mind, and I know you, Broken Traditions, as a YouTuber, sharing a little bit more about your business. If you can put a one-liner, like what is your business all about? I would love to know. So, okay. One of the things I want to share is that in my opinion, how do I say this? People always say that online, like, is fake. content is fake, people are fake online, and there's this whole perception that the internet is not real, right? Like people people are not real online. And I actually think that that's not true. After being a YouTuber for 2 years, I actually think to a degree, people are more authentic online. And why I say that is because when people comment in broken traditions, because you're a YouTuber, you all only see the most recent video and the comments in that most recent video. Over the last 2 years, I'm getting comments on a lot of my videos. And I have just been shocked at the amount of like vulnerability and the ways in which people share and open up. And I think in some ways it's easier to do that because it's just there's all people see is a thumbnail. So nobody can really judge you. They don't even know if your picture is real. A lot of people don't even have a picture. So you're able to share things online that you wouldn't necessarily share in real life. And so that is one thing I notice is that I actually think online there is authenticity to it. But, and when this is something I was sharing with a friend of mine over the weekend, the difference is that people think that, of course you're sharing, there's an authenticity and a depth, but it may be about a particular topic. Like in my case, my channel is pretty much about love and relationships and beauty and body standards. So I'm going to say a lot about those things. You're going to know me in depth about those things, right? You're not going to obviously know me as a holistic person, but people in my real life know me all around. They know what I think about beauty and body standards. They know about other things. Online, people know me about a couple things, a few things, right? But I think that that's very valuable. And so when people say that online is fake or people are not real, I don't think, I don't get me wrong. Do people fake online? Yes, they do. But I think a lot of people use the internet in a very authentic way. And it's really about, and this is another thing I learned because I'm just sharing a little bit of my learnings. When I first got on YouTube, and this is going to make me sound a little silly, but I was like, oh, I can't, like, I held back a lot. Like I held back a lot with regard to creativity, because I was thinking, because someone had told me like, oh, Oprah might see one of your videos. And, and this is a side note, I always wanted to be a talk show host. And so I'm like, this is like 2 years ago. I'm like, oh, well, what if Oprah sees my video? And, and I was kind of making content from a place of being afraid that I would say the wrong thing, that I would say something that somebody could pull up later and be like, well, we're not going to hire you because you said this, 3 years ago. And like, I was just making content from a very kind of like safe place. Right. And I think I still, some can argue I still do to some extent, but I'm a lot more free, a lot more open-minded, a lot more creative now. But there was this kind of holding out hope that, well, what if one day Oprah comes to save me? And, and it's like, and then she's like, oh, I'm not going to help you with a talk show because you made a video about Black women having BBLs or, or something like that. Right. And as I went along, I realized that Oprah is not coming to save me. Lee Daniels, Tyler Perry, I don't even, be honest with you, I don't even like a lot of their work anyway. So even if they came to save me, I probably would not be remotely interested in whatever they were offering me. And oh, hey Gino. Hey Gino. Gino is definitely one of my day ones. Shout out to you. And so I kind of got over that mindset of like, oh, well, what if someone, and I'm using Oprah. I just mean anyone famous, right? Because again, YouTube is owned by Google. And so if you're posting YouTube videos, it's out there. Anybody can find you. I don't know who's watching my videos. And to be honest with you, I have had some conversations with people that I've never thought, like people have literally reached out to me, people who are similar. They're not celebrities, but they're kind of in the world of dealing with celebrities. People have reached out to me wanting to just have conversations with me. So really, doing YouTube can really put you in closer proximity to stars in Hollywood, if you're interested in that. But I have never been someone who really cared about that. And so I really thought about it, and I'm like, I'm not going to make videos from a place of hoping that someone, in Hollywood or, offers me a talk show one day. I'm just going to be creative, and I'm just going to, and once I kind of let that go, I was able to be a lot more creative with my ideas and my videos, and things really started to take off on my channel because I wasn't making videos holding back because I was afraid that I was going to say something that was going to offend a noteworthy Black woman like Oprah. So, um, and so, yeah, I wanted to share that part because, again, I feel like a lot of times you guys are seeing me upload, you're seeing my videos, you're engaging with my content, which I appreciate, but a lot of you don't know me as a creator. Okay. So, real quick, let me read some of your comments, and then I want to also just really thank you all, as I started to do before, but and I'll be getting into sort of the direction of my channel. I've been seeing some names for the last almost maybe year and a half, and it means a lot to me. So for those of you who support the channel, for those of you, again, you like, you subscribe, you comment, you tell people about my videos, you share my videos, you understand me even when you don't agree, because this is not about always agreeing with me. There's people who I love dearly who I don't agree with all the time, right? But there are people who will disagree with you and be like, they'll like send me a nasty message and say how they're going to unsubscribe because they disagreed. And then there are people who can respectfully disagree, and it's like not a big deal. It's like no problem. I don't agree with you, Naka, on this, but you probably will make something or say something in the future that I will agree with. And that is really how content should work. It shouldn't be about writing a person off because they say something that you don't agree with, because again, the closest people to me who I love dearly, I don't always agree with them. And that is completely normal. All right, comments. Oh, hey, is it Feminine Her? Thank you for being here. You said, hi, I just discovered your channel a few weeks ago and I am hooked. Oh, thank you. You're so knowledgeable. And what I like about this channel is that you hold women accountable. You speak the truth, and I love it. Thank you so much. Do I hold women accountable? I try to, kind of like inadvertently. So I don't, I'm not the person that's going to be screaming at the camera or anything like that. But yes, do I have opinions that I stand on? I do my best to do that. So I really appreciate you. You said, hi, from California. Oh, wow. All right. Nice. I got to get back out to California. So we family, we always not going to agree, but the channel was like home. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Hey, Lucy T. Again, I've been seeing you around the channel. You said, yeah, that unsubscribing when you don't agree is funny to me. Exactly. It's just kind of like, are you going to unsubscribe to people in your, if your uncle or your auntie says something you don't agree with, are you going to cut them off? It's just crazy. And this kind of leads me to, and I know I did a poll, and you guys said, I gave like 3 topics, and you said you wanted to hear about abandoned by the sisterhood. This talk that I'm doing is going to include commentary about being abandoned by the sisterhood because my experience has been so interesting, starting off with like my channel. When I started, I was saying that I make content, or I make things visible for Black women, and at one point 75% of my audience were actually Black men, or men. I don't know if they were Black men, they were probably Black men. And so, yeah, I'm going to be talking about that too. But all right. So I have my notes on my phone here. So I think I just want to, again, talk about, I have so many things to talk about here, but this is in reference to a conversation. Actually, I hung out with a really close friend over the weekend, and we talked about like, one of the things we were talking about is like trauma dumping. And I was like, oh, I'm going to talk about this in my live, because I think one of the important things about YouTube is that, going back to what I said before, people in your real life know certain parts of you, and they may not necessarily know the parts of you that your YouTube audience knows. And if you are a YouTuber, you know that your biggest supporters are probably not going to be family and friends. Like, your family and friends will respect what you do. Oftentimes they'll, like your videos or whatever. but they may not necessarily understand it or get it, or it may not be their cup of tea. They may watch different type of content, and that's fine. So one of the things I love about YouTube and what kind of pulled me into the world of YouTube was the fact that I did not want to trauma dump, quote unquote. I didn't want to trauma dump on family and friends, because I actually really love talking about beauty standards. I love talking about body image. I love, like, and if you notice, if you pay attention to creators, and I'm always thinking when I watch other people's videos, what's behind this? And shout out to Broken Traditions, because you shared something on Instagram the other day that was so inspiring when you talked about what was behind your content, like why you started Broken Traditions. And by the way, you guys, Broken Traditions is in the chat. Please go subscribe to his channel. He has amazing content. And especially as the election is getting closer, I've been following him more because he has his channel is more political than mine. And so I actually have been learning a lot from him. But I'm always thinking about what's behind the content. And I don't want to lose my train of thought. But okay, so often what you'll see is, like, this is just an example. Dark-skinned women, they'll have channels about colorism, or with somebody who I was looking at, she has 4C kinky hair, and she makes content about natural hair and and kind of dispelling myths. So what you'll see is, like, what people do with their channel is they take parts of their own life and their own experience, and they use that to sort of drive various points home. But a lot of times what you actually realize that people are doing is creating a community around those topics, because they don't want to, quote, trauma dump on people in their personal lives. Because I don't know anybody who wants to sit around and talk about the BBL epidemic, but I do. Like, I like talking about that. I think it's interesting, and not necessarily from a place of judgment, but from a place of kind of trying to analyze, why did this happen? And and a lot of times when you talk to women, particularly, just like the average woman, not everybody wants to necessarily critically think about things. And even me, like, I know what my triggers are, and I know that there's some things where I'm just like, I may not really want to get into that, or it may be a trigger for me, right? So I don't want to go around triggering people. But then it's like, I really, I spent so many years watching shows like Botched, and like I'm really into, like, surgery shows, and even shows about, like, body image, like My 600-Pound Life, or like any of those, like, Lifetime things. I used to love that stuff. I used to, and even K. Michelle had that show, I forgot the name of it, but about, like, restoring women who had botched surgeries. I don't know why. I've always been interested in surgery, but kind of like the other side of it, like the side that people aren't talking about. And like I said, one of the things about me is that I was and I'm kind of sharing. So what you're getting now is what's kind of behind a lot of some of my content, is there was a point in my life where there was a lot of people around me getting elective surgery. And at that point, I can't act like I didn't feel like I needed to do something too, because it's like, well, everyone's doing this. Like, should I be doing this? And then I actually started to contemplate doing it, not like at that moment, but like in the future. I would be like, okay, well, I'm going to think about. And then I had to really start thinking about, like, this is not even something I want to do. Like, I don't even, and are there things that could be nipped and tucked? Of course, like I'm a 42-year-old woman, but it's not necessary. And I started to think about where are the spaces for people? Like, there's a lot of spaces for people who want to, to indulge in various surgeries. But what about people who are seeing it happen around them, and they're being affected by it, but they don't really have anybody to talk to about? Oh, thank you, Broken Traditions. Oh, thank you. Say your kill, yeah, because I feel like I'm just like rambling. This is live streaming is not necessarily my where my strength is, but I'm trying. So I do appreciate the support. Thank you so much. So I'm like, kind of like, not necessarily a support group per se, But there has to be a space for people who have, I don't want to call it trauma, but who have been impacted by what they see happening around. When I say around, I mean, not even just, I mean, yeah, you could say my personal circle, but just everywhere. Like it was just like 2020, 2021 was a boom, a surge where so many women, and I mainly associate with women of color. So many women of color were just getting surgery. And again, it's not bad. It doesn't make them bad people. And in many ways, I see why they were doing it. But I felt like I didn't have an outlet to express my concern, my fear, my sort of critiques, right? Because there is another side. And a lot of times you can't really, oh, thank you, Established 87. I truly appreciate you guys for the support. You know, a lot of times, yeah. And, you know, and again, I don't want to trauma dump on either those people who are doing the surgery or people who are pro surgery, because they have the right to do what they want to do, right? It's their life, it's their body. But that doesn't exempt me from having sort of an opinion about it and sort of wanting a community to really talk about, okay, let's really analyze what is really behind this. Because for some people, it is just as simple as, I just want to look better and feel better in my clothes. For other women, for other people, there's more. There is a level of sort of desperation and extreme insecurity. And that's, you know, and again, it's just about, let's be more critical. And so when I did my video, the first video that ever went viral, it was called "The BBL Epidemic Won't Save Us." I was actually a little scared, and not scared, but just kind of like, you know, I don't want people to think that, like people who I know, to think that I'm like judging them or against them, or you know, I you know, like I think negatively about them. But what I would like to do is also create a space where people like me can be seen. Because, and that's one thing I realized, you know, my whole brand is like making things visible for Black women, right? Making things visible for the, oh no, not for, excuse me, about making things visible about modern Black women. One of the things I realized, but when I make things visible for one group, the other group feels invisible. And that is not something, I don't know what to do about that. You know what I mean? So like, if I'm making women like me feel seen, who maybe don't want to have surgery or don't think that they should, you know, or think that like it should be the last resort. Like if you are just absolutely, you know, you know, if you're just at the lowest of the low, okay, fine, maybe consider it. But if I'm making that group feel seen, the group of women who feel like I can do whatever I want with my body, it doesn't matter that I have 5 kids, it doesn't matter that like I want to be snatched, you know, I want to look good, I want to go to the club and, you know, get compliments. That group of women is not going to feel seen, because, you know, it's just and so that is one of the tensions I have ran into on YouTube. Is like, it's hard to share both perspectives. And then two things can be true at the same time. I could think that people should be very careful with surgery because it's extremely dangerous, but then I could also understand why some women do it. And both of those things are true. But most of my content is going to be more on the other end of the spectrum, just because that is how I identify. I've never had elective surgery. I've never had any surgery. So I can't relate to the women who are doing it as much as I can to the women who are more critical of it. And I'm just, and if you know me, like I'm the type of person that like, if the dentist tells me that I need to get a cavity fit, like a filling, I will be like, okay, hold on, wait a minute. show me the x-ray. Like I'm just that person. So I have no business getting surgery, because I don't really trust. Yeah, I'm one of those people that I kind of like to have a little bit more control and really know what's going on, and really like show me proof, show me evidence that I really have a cavity type of thing. So why would somebody like me ever go through something like that? It would be a disaster. So anyway, so I just wanted to share that perspective of like this idea of making things visible and helping people or women feel seen. Oftentimes you do that at the expense of other people being invisible and essentially making other people, probably women in this case, feel invisible. And I have to be honest about the fact that I probably have done that on YouTube, you know, and that is how I kind of get into the sisterhood talk, which is what I'm going to talk about here now, which is why I have been up against a lot of criticism. And again, a lot of this stuff you guys don't see because I have 200 something videos out there that, you know, not people aren't commenting on all of those things, but people are commenting on some. And then I have a piece of content that went viral that was getting comments for over a year. And so a lot of those comments from Black women were negative. And that really taught me a lot about the mindset that really exists out there. Like, I'll be honest with you, when I got on YouTube, I was like for sure that I was going to have all these Black women following me and, you know, like excited about my content. And I just never thought that I would be met with resistance because many Black women, and I shouldn't say many, some Black women, when they feel as though you, I guess, connect with men, or you don't call men dusty, or you don't talk down about men, or you are critical of things like surgery, or, you know, I mean, a lot of that stuff to them is like, oh, she's not like us. You know what I mean? Like, I thought she looks like us. She got locks, but yeah, I don't know about her. And so that has kind of been my experience. And it really has, you know, I really had to kind of reevaluate, you know, my purpose on YouTube. Because like I said, I went into this thinking, hands down, I'm for the people. I'm for all the Black women, and not realizing that a lot of Black women don't vibe with me. And that's fine. I mean, I don't expect everyone to vibe with me, but it's just really taught me a lot about the lack of critical thinking in the community. And again, because I don't really I try to be balanced. I try to, you know, my best to be balanced. Not that I always am, but the fact that I've been met with, yeah, you should see some of these comments. It's like, whoa, girl, like, okay, kind of like the who hurt you thing. All right, so I've been talking a lot here. Let me see what you guys are saying. Obviously, I won't be able to read everything, but just a few things here. Gino said, I don't know why YouTube keeps unsubscribing me to certain channels I always watch. Oh, that's interesting, Gino. Broken traditions. My wife and I talk about the BBL epidemic often. I be referencing your videos in my conversations in real life. Thank you so much. Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing that people don't press one. Nigga should do a. Oh, I like that. I should do a weekly live. Oh man, you putting the pressure on, Broken Tradition. You are really putting the pressure on. So what was I going to respond to? Oh yeah. And see, and that's another thing too. In Broken Traditions, you know this. One of the ways that I've stood out on YouTube was making videos about BBLs, right? And one person can say, well, that's dumb. Like, why would you want to make a lot of BBL? Well, I mean, how YouTube works is that if you have a demand for, you know, there at that time, there was a demand for those type of videos because a lot of people didn't really know much about it. So if you have the demand, and then I also had the interest, you know, I was very much interested and curious about it. And the more I learned about it, the more I wanted to share. So it just worked because I think that there was a lack of, I mean, there was people making videos about BBLs, but they didn't necessarily always go into more of a in-depth analysis. And I think that, like I said, I think that for some women, not all, there's a lot more behind it than just, I want to be snatched. Some women, you know, their desire to get surgery is a lot deeper. And so I wanted a place to analyze that. That's so funny. All right. I love that you guys are egging me on to do a more frequent live stream. So, okay. So I think, let me see where I'm at now. I think I was talking a little bit about the sisterhood and sort of but one of the things I always ask myself, because I'm like, oh, I was abandoned by the sisterhood, but then I was like, were you abandoned by the sisterhood, or did you abandon the sisterhood? Because you can reframe that to say that I, by virtue of, maybe not making certain types of content, or the fact that I made so many videos about beauty standards and body image and BBLs and that type of thing, perhaps it was the other way around, So, I mean, I don't know. I guess it's all about how you want to frame it. But I definitely really thank, all of my supporters, and the fact that my content resonates a lot with men. This is going to lead to my next point. One of the things I realized about YouTube, though, is that, because see, I thought, like a lot of people do, that you make videos, and I see this in comments where people will be like, yeah, tell the women, tell them how it is, because people think that when you speak on something, that you're going to change someone's mind, like by me saying certain things, that I'm going to then now change the minds of the masses of Black women. And the reality is no. YouTube is more about validating and affirming people's pre-existing thoughts and beliefs. So it's rare for you to change someone's mind. I mean, that's the hope. And in some cases you might, but most of the time what you're actually doing is you're validating and you're affirming. And so you're bringing people in that kind of already somewhat think like you, and you're validating and you're affirming their pre-existing beliefs. And that doesn't mean they're not learning. They could learn from you. And they, people always say, you help me think about something in a different way, but you're not necessarily changing people's minds. And that is something I learned pretty quickly, that I think is important to know. So not making content from a place of like, oh, I'm going to change everyone's mind, but more just like, okay, it could be very validating and affirming to sometimes hear a woman say certain things, or for a man. And then even as a, going back to the surgery conversation, there are women who maybe are not sure, and they want to hear a woman speak on the benefits of perhaps not getting surgery, and so yeah, and so that is also very important too. All right. How are you guys feeling? I know I'm doing a lot of talking. I definitely want to hear. There's 24 people who are 10:48 in the Eastern time, 10:48, 24 people here. Please do jump in the chat. Hopefully you guys are subscribed, so you can jump in the chat and tell me how you're feeling. Tell me your thoughts. I don't know. What are your favorite videos in terms of videos that I've made? What are some videos that you want to see me make? Got to get the chatter going a little bit. So thank you for liking the video. Thanks to everyone who subscribed. And if you are going to jump in the chat, please do say where you're from, or where you live, where you're from or where you live. Anybody from London? Anybody from not London? Anybody from the UK? Anybody from Canada? I know I have folks watching from Canada, the UK, and the Caribbean. So if you are from those places, of course the United States, please do jump in and make yourself visible. Thank you, Gino. I appreciate that. I really do. You guys are so encouraging. Very, very encouraging. So the other thing I want to share is about the invisible Black woman. And this is something that I think I'm misunderstood for, which is fine, because it's not something that I can really like explain in one video or even 5 videos. It's really something you have to see over time. I have a book about it. Even in my book, it was my first solo book. I also have a children's book with my mom. But even in my book, like, you kind of get a little bit more, but it's still not exactly, So it's one of those things where you have to kind of follow my journey to see exactly what I mean. There's so many ways in which I think Black women are invisible, don't even realize they are. I think, and again, I'm going to go back to the BBL videos. This is not about all Black women. Some Black women got BBLs because of this invisibility problem. That is my opinion. I think when you are not sort of, I mean, I think there's sort of this attempt for Black women to be seen physically with the hope that that will lead to sort of someone noticing them and then also seeing them on the inside. And that, unfortunately, that it just was an epic fail for a lot of women, because what we saw is that obviously it doesn't matter how big your butt is, it's not going to necessarily equate to it's not going to necessarily, it's going to equate to more attention, but not necessarily the attention that women are really seeking. And so yeah, and so the invisible Black woman, the thing I want to share is that that is really why I got on YouTube, is because I wrote a book first called Memoir of an Invisible Black Woman, my own gaze, Memoir of an Invisible Black Woman. It's available on Amazon. And I really got on YouTube to bring the book to life. My YouTube channel was really just to talk about some of the themes in my book, to kind of promote my book, to promote my business. And then I realized that there was a kind of a desire for people to, learn more about this, about just Black women in general. So that's why I kind of then said, okay, well, let me just keep talking. And I just really just kept showing up and just kept talking about different topics that related to invisibility. And what was interesting, this is the most interesting part, because I used to watch Kevin Samuels, and even as a plus size woman, a woman in my 40s or whatever, at the time I was in my late 30s, I used to watch him, and granted, some of it I was like, oh, this is offensive. But I was, I didn't subscribe to him. So that's kind of why I'm like, maybe it's karma. All the people who don't subscribe. I never subscribed, but it would, those videos just kept popping up in the algorithm, kept watching them. And I just always thought if I ever got on YouTube, I would be on the other side. Like, there is no way that I would be anywhere near the people who like Kevin Samuels, who watch his stuff, anywhere near the manosphere and red pill, because, even though a lot of that stuff, to be honest with you, I agree. Some of it I agreed with. But the internet just seemed really harsh to women like me. Again, I'm, whatever you want to call curvy woman. I'm now in my 40s. I was a single mom. So I had every reason that men had to hate me was like, bam, front and center. So I think what's interesting is that my brand of the invisible woman, somehow resonated with sort of the manosphere red pill community. And I think it was because a lot of things I would talk about were things that Black women weren't necessarily sharing openly. And so that is one of almost the most hilarious part to me of my journey on YouTube, is that the very community, manosphere red pill, that I was like, oh, I'm not even getting close to them. Like, they're going to hate me. Like, like I said, I'm thinking I'm going to be on the whole other side of the internet. That was some of my biggest supporters. Those are some of my biggest supporters. And so yeah, I just think that, this journey has been interesting. And I think my video that's now up to, I think, 740,000 views, that really is what grew my channel. I mean, it really helped to grow my channel a lot. And so a lot of people are here because of that video. They watch my videos because of that video. I'm going to talk about the problem with going viral. There's definitely a problem. Oh, hey, okay, Lucy T, you're watching from Atlanta. The problem with going viral is that you and your channel will have an inflated sense of sort of like visibility. And so for the last year, this video has just been climbing. I think it's kind of stopping now. And I think that's why my views have been lower, is because anytime you have a piece of viral content, and I've actually had, several pieces of viral content, but that being the highest, you have so many, it's just, your channel is noisy. I mean, you have, you know, you're getting comments all day and every day, and that's beautiful. Don't get me wrong. I'm not complaining, but one of the things creators need to know is that you never want to gauge your success off of going viral, because most of those people are just there for a good time, not a long time. You know, they're there to, you know, watch that video. Maybe they'll watch a couple others. They'll comment. And to be honest with you, I think that has a lot to do with why a lot of people who watch my channel are not subscribed, is because, again, they see a piece of viral content. They maybe watch a couple videos here and there, and then they go about their way. And a lot of people are doing that. So I just want to put in perspective, because I still remember when I got on YouTube, I was like, man, if I can even get, actually, I don't know if you're still on here, Broken Traditions, but, and I don't know if you saw, I commented on your channel maybe like a week or two ago, because you had, I saw a video that you made, and I think you had made the video a while ago, but you were talking about the direction of your channel and stuff like that, and how, you know, you're not going to prioritize views and what you have to do to get views, because it could be really scary to start. And this is how people start losing themselves, is that this whole thing about I have to do all these things to get the views, excuse me, and to keep the retention rate high. And there are creators who are going to create from a place of just being creative. I'm using the word create a lot, but, and not, you know, so it's not necessarily, it's not about, oh, this is going to go viral, but like, wow, this is a very creative way to say this. That is how I think. You know, now granted, there's things that I'm like, okay, I think people might like this, or this guy really drove the point home, so I'm gonna put this in my video. But for the most part, it's like, I just want to be as creative as possible. And one of the, going back to my point about going viral and why it can be detrimental, is because in your mind, when you stop going viral and your views start to become like stabilized, and, you know, all the people that, all the noise in your channel settles down, and it comes down to your people who really rock with you, who really love your content, who've been consistently showing up for the last year. When it comes down to that, you might only have, you know, 500 views, 1,000 views. And why that, the problem is that that is still a lot. Like, when I thought about this, I was like, now I remember a time where if 100 people watched a video of mine, I was winning. It was like, dang, 100. And now again, that's views. So I don't know, I can't necessarily say like it's 100 people, but assuming people are just watching it one time, one view should equal one person. So I'm just, for the sake of this conversation, we're going to say one view is one person. There was a point where if I had 100 views, it was a lot. Then I went viral, and then it's like, you know, your mind starts, you know, you starts messing with your mind, and you start thinking, oh, well, I need to have 50,000. Okay, I need to have 30,000, or this one needs to hit 100,000. And the reality is, even if you're getting 300-400 views, assuming that's 300-400 people, that's a lot. that is a lot. But see, the problem in the world of content is not a lot, because it doesn't equate to money. 300 views, 1,000 views, 2,000 views, that you're not going to get a lot of money from that. You're only going to really get the money from the virality, or obviously if you have brand deals and other things like that. So I'm saying all this to say, because really I wanted this to be about the direction of my channel moving forward, and kind of like where I'm at. And I think I have reached a place where, like I said, a lot of content was going viral. People were just discovering me. You know, a lot of creators in Black YouTube have watched my videos. You know, like, I mean, I know, like I said, I have had a lot, you know, conversations, you know, off record with people. And, you know, even though I'm still a small channel, Black YouTube is actually small. So it's easy for someone like me to get a lot of views, especially initially, because the community is just so small. And I'm making content for Black people, right? Like, my content is very niched. You're not going to really see me on the other side of the internet, because a lot of my references are just very much for the Black community, and I'm all about it. But now that, again, all the viral noise has kind of died down, and I'm kind of seeing my baseline of like, okay, these are the people who really keep showing up, who seem to really, like my content. And I've been seeing their names for the last year, 2 years. Yeah, it lets me know kind of where I stand. And I have to reframe my mind around the fact that even if I'm getting 1,500 views, that's still amazing. Like there's 1,500 people who care about what I have to say. Like that's pretty awesome. But does that equate to money? Does that equate to me being able to pay my bills off of just that? Of course not. And so, as I go along, one of the things you guys will be seeing more probably is me not only promoting my business, but making videos to sort of highlight what I do as a business owner, as a coach, as a consultant, because I do have quite a bit of skill set there. So before, for those who care, before I was on YouTube, I wrote a couple books, a memoir, and then a children's book with my mom. Before that, I mean, this is not going to be in order. I'm just going to try to remember my various experiences. Before I wrote those books, I, was in academia. I was a teacher. I was an instructor. I taught at a college and at a university. Sometime before that, I wrote for a newspaper. Sometime way before that, I had an open mic venue because I'm a poet. And I had an open mic venue for other poets to come and showcase their work. I was also in sort of like the entertainment space where I would host events and curate events, entertainment events. I've had so many different experiences. I'm sure I left a lot of things out. But YouTube is definitely a place where I feel like I can kind of channel all of that into my videos. And that is one of the things I love about it. I mean, it's essentially YouTube is like digital storytelling. Depending on how you go about it, it can be digital storytelling. And I love it because I'm able to channel, or I forgot African dance. So not maybe a few years ago, right before the pandemic, I was doing African dance. And I feel like no matter what I've done, I've always told a story through my art. For me, art imitates life, and I like to tell stories through my art. And that is and my goal now is to help other people do that too. And that is essentially my coaching and consulting that I do. And but helping other people to pursue their passion of being a creator, to share their stories, and to do that unapologetically and in various formats. So whether that be, that's why my company is a multimedia company. Whether you want to write a book, whether you want to have a YouTube channel, maybe you want to have a newsletter or something like that. I have literally kind of been a part of a lot of those different worlds. And so I can channel all those experiences into coaching. So just so you know, just warning you, you guys will be getting more of that from me about my business. And I'll be sharing later how you're going to get that information. I'm still going to keep the channel. I'm still going to be posting about Black women, but I'm definitely going to be putting my business more front and center because like I said, I've downplayed it for the last while because it's just too hard to be a YouTuber and a legit business owner and do both things simultaneously, seamlessly. That is very, very hard. Like, you kind of have to choose. You have to choose which one you're going to prioritize, I should say. So, all right, what else do I want to share here? You guys are really, really quiet. I see there's 13 people, but you're quiet. So let me know. Let me know how you're feeling. What's going on? Am I boring? Am I boring you? I know this is not. If you were here at the very beginning, I said, this is definitely not one of those talks where I'm like, oh, she's going to share so much insight. My hope is that I'll say something inspiring, but this is really about kind of just having a talk and letting you know where I'm at right now. What haven't I said? I think I said a lot. I think one of the final points I want to make is talking about what success is to me. And perhaps, this might resonate with you. So I personally believe that success is not linear. It's not about just you're gonna just keep going up, 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 up until you reach the top. No, I mean it for some people maybe that's their experience. It definitely I don't believe that that's my experience. I think you learn a lot more. Um, excuse me. I think you learn a lot more from having those peaks and valleys and being able to sort of it's like you're on a roller coaster. It's like that. That's success to me. And I'm just kind of in a phase of trying to really redefine success. I mean, or I shouldn't say redefine it, but kind of like embrace it for what it is. Is that success is a roller coaster, and it's not about and part of it is I have to figure out what success is for me. So is success the fact that I went viral so many times? Is success the fact that I've consistently shown up for 2 years every week, with the exception of when I got married? But other than that, every week consistently showing up making videos. Is success what else would be considered success on YouTube? I mean, I don't know. Is success the fact that I'm, social capital, the fact that I have relationships with more so digital relationships with other creators. That's one of the things that I also table is collaborations. People definitely folks have reached out, and I will be reaching back out to do more collaborations. But it's something that I just didn't have the time to prioritize. But perhaps that is success, is the fact that I've been able to sort of inspire people enough to even want to collaborate with me, and vice versa. So I guess I'm in a phase now of trying to define success for the channel, define success for myself. Also being transparent as a business owner. The goal, the hope is one day to fully work for myself. I still have my day job, and also that impacts my content because I'm not able to put out as many videos as I would. I have so many ideas, like a plethora of ideas. Most of those ideas will never see the light of day. I have to really pick and choose, which I have to be really intentional. And there's a lot of videos that never got made. There's a lot of it's insane. So I wish there was someone who could give me my own show because I would kill it because the ideas flow like crazy. But the time is scarce, right? I have a daughter, like I said, I have a whole job, a whole husband, I got a lot of things going on. So I have to really figure out where I'm going to invest my time, where my value is going to be. Oh, hi, Thomas. Thomas SR, you said congrats to you and your husband and your decision to enter into holy matrimony together. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's been really amazing. So yeah, I'm just, again, this is transparency about where I'm at as a creator. And the other thing is, and this is the part that kind of sucks, is that the most of the people who watch my videos are not necessarily the people who would support my business. And this is not bad. This is just a reality. A lot of people follow me because I talk about Black women, because of my viral pieces of content. Those things don't necessarily equate to curated legacy and my goals there of coaching people of how to be creative and how to overcome imposter syndrome and all that stuff. So I thought about starting, having two channels. That gives me a lot of anxiety to think about having to manage two channels. So I don't know. I'm being, this is just letting you know that I don't have it all figured out. Sometimes it's very validating and affirming to hear people say that they don't have it all figured out and they're trying to figure it out. That is essentially what I'm doing. And yeah, I guess you guys will know when you start seeing certain things, you're like, okay, she's doing what she said she probably was going to do. But either way, it has been a beautiful ride, an amazing experience. I regret nothing. Out of all of my out of all of my videos, I've never deleted. I've only deleted. Well, I've never deleted any video. I've only unlisted the passport bro video because folks really had an issue with that, and I can understand why. And it was one more. It was one more that I unlisted. But point being, I said what I said. Like, I'm just one of the people, you know, I don't go back and, oh, I'm going to delete all this stuff because I'm ashamed. No, I said it. I meant it. And I often watch my channel. So I'm a supporter. Like, I literally am a viewer of my own videos. Like, sometimes I'll just kind of, you know, especially if I go back like a year, and, you know, it's just really cool. So the content that I make is definitely the kind of content that I want to watch. And so I try to also create from that space of like, what do I want to see? And what do I want to hear people say? And what is validating to me? Gino, you said, do you find that your phase or time period of invisibility has passed? That's a good question. Do you feel visible now since you're in so many venues now? That's a great question, Gino. Yeah, I would say yes on most fronts. So yes, I feel visible and seen on most levels. That is yes, at 100%. And I think that was actually, you know, you reminded me of a point that I actually didn't make, which is when I talked about YouTube, what you're mostly doing is you're validating and you're affirming pre-existing beliefs. There's actually a lot of value in that. Like, people always say, and I disagree with this, when people say, oh, well, you shouldn't seek validation. And it's like, well, I mean, on the one hand, I understand why people say that, because you don't want to be dependent on validation from outside. Because what if you don't get that validation? Are you going to think that you're nothing and you're nobody? But if you think about it, the way the world works, the way entertainment, content, people, you know, all of that stuff, the way it works is based off of validation. Because if people don't see you and think that you have a viable product or a viable video or a good perspective, like, then you won't be, you know, nobody will see your stuff. So on some level, you kind of, validation is not bad. Like, there's nothing wrong with people saying, Neka, I appreciate you. I love your content. Thank you for making this video. Like, I like hearing that because it lets me know that I'm, you know, it's reaching somebody, it's helping somebody. And so to your point, Gino, it's been very motivating to be somebody that, like I said, a few years ago, I could not even imagine having. Like I said, I was like, wow, if I can get like 200 subscribers, that would be amazing. Like, there was no way I would ever think that 19,000 people would care or at any point would hit that subscribe button for any reason, just because I didn't think I had that much insightful things to really say, or that much insightful things that people would care about. And to even hear that, even just me sharing about being invisible, people want to hear about. It's like, oh wow, you want to hear about why I'm invisible? That's interesting. So so it is validating. And I think validation, because I have to be mindful that when I make videos, oftentimes I'm validating my audience. I know for me, I needed that because, and one of the reasons why I'm a coach, well, I have a coaching background of I think almost going on 10 years now. So I'm a coach in my day job, but I used a coach. I actually used two coaches when I was trying to get the strength enough to write my memoir and to start my channel. And so coaches, not necessarily that it's about validating, but it is to an extent, you know, because they're asking questions to try to get you to see certain things. But like, I don't think we should downplay validation, right? Like, yes, you shouldn't solely depend on it, but if no one validated me, I wouldn't be here. Like, you know, like if I had 0 subscribers, I mean, and I should still be here, because really it shouldn't matter. You should make content no matter what. But the reality is, I know me is if I, after 2 years, if I had like 5 subscribers, I can't say that I would still be doing this. So let's not always let's really look at and think about validation as something that's affirming. Like, it feels good to know that other people like your perspective or appreciate your perspective or understand your perspective or see you. A lot of people have said, I don't know why you've been saying you're invisible, Nathan, because I see you. And like, that is something extremely important. And I will say that, like, in my personal life, in terms of why I really kept going with my videos, is because there was someone in my personal life who saw my talent. And this is even before I saw my talent, because I don't have a background in like editing, and like, I don't come, I kind of shared my background a minute ago, but I've never, prior to 2 years ago, I've never like edited a video. I didn't know how to do that. I would watch other people's stuff, and I thought maybe they hired somebody. I'm like, I don't know. So, I'm like self-taught. And even though, of course, there's still a lot of improvements that I can make, but the point is, it took someone validating, like seeing something that I made and was like, wow, you made that? That's really good. Like, I'm not going to lie, that really was motivating and encouraging. And I was like, so being seen, when you talk about being seen, what are we really talking about? And a lot of that comes down to, like, in my book, I have a book called My Own Gaze, seeing myself, right? So being aware of who I am. And because believe it or not, there's a lot of people who don't self-assess, who don't, they just go through life. And so it's important for me to see me, to understand my own value, but it's also affirming for other people to see me. And that is essentially what I'm doing on YouTube. That's what YouTube is all about in some ways. I'll share that when I was a newly single mom, I'll say, because this is some years ago, my daughter was little, and I was a single mom at the time. And I was a newly single mom because, like I said, I thought at the time I was going to get married and all this stuff was going to happen. Never happened. I use YouTube a lot to get through a very difficult time in my life. And what I would do is I would go on YouTube and watch videos that resonated with me, where it was someone talking about something that either I could learn from, or that I felt validated or affirmed by, or that I could relate to. So again, Gino, I know I kind of went way off with that, but I appreciate you asking that question, because I think most people will probably expect me to say, well, I don't care what anybody thinks. And, I don't care if I'm seen. And the reality is that that's just not, if you think about even like children, a lot of parenting is like affirming them, validating them. That is why women grow up like me to have daddy issues, is because maybe your parent passed away and there was some affirmation or some validation that you never got, because, they couldn't give it because maybe they passed away, or maybe they had a mental illness, or whatever it is. And so I don't think that we should minimize the value of that, if that makes sense. All right, looks like I have some more comments here. Oh, okay, no problem. Broken traditions. I talked about you, and I don't know when that was. So anyway, I forgot even what I said. I don't know if you heard it, but I didn't. Yeah, I can't even remember. But anyway, if you want to rewind it, I did put you out there, broken traditions, and I said something about you. I think it was about, I don't know. I don't remember. I'm sorry. I don't have the best memory, but if you want to watch it back, you can. Lucy T, I agree with the validation perspective. You want to know if what you're putting out is working, not working. Exactly. And that's essentially like being a business owner. If you have a business or something like that. I mean, yeah, how do you think people have viable businesses? That all of that is validation. Like, if you have a restaurant, yeah, you want people to like your food. Like, if everybody thinks your food is nasty, like you're not gonna, it's not gonna work. So I think oftentimes we kind of, as people, and I'm sure I'm guilty of it too, kind of like, we want to think that like, oh, well, I don't need anybody to tell me anything, I'm good. And it's like, well, I mean, you kind of do need people to give you feedback. So that is how the world works. That is how business works. Thomas SR, you said, what can Black men do? What can Black men do help Black women to be more visible? Okay, and what can Black women do for themselves to be more visible? I love that. Ooh, that's a good question. Okay, so first question, what can Black men do to help Black women be more visible? Here's what's interesting about that. I would say the first person that really saw me, like when I was like, oh, I'm invisible, and when the first person who really actually, I feel, and again, I don't want to offend any of my friends or family, because kind of going back to what I said earlier, as people, I believe that we all have different parts of us, right? So, and people are incredibly complicated. And Thomas, I'm getting to your question. People are incredibly complicated, incredibly complex, right? And you can know somebody for 20 years, 30 years, and like still be learning things about them. That's how complicated we all are as people. So of course, family and friends, they know me deeply in a lot of different ways, right? But then there are parts of me, and these might be the parts that were invisible, that they may not know so well for whatever reason. So the parts of me that a lot of people don't know, like a lot of people when I started doing YouTube, was like, I didn't even know you wanted to do that. Those are parts of me that you just didn't know. And it's nobody's fault. Maybe I just never said it out loud. But to your question, Thomas, it was a Black man, a friend, former friend now, who I felt so seen by. And it was because I was sharing, and this is like before I started my business, before I wrote my book. I was doing African dance at the time. That was like my main kind of creative outlet. And I just knew that I wanted my legacy to be more than just like my day job. And this is no disrespect to my day job. I actually love what I do, but I knew I had more to give. And I just didn't know what the next step was. I felt stuck. And I don't know if anybody can resonate with feeling stuck, whether it be career, it was just like, nothing is really, I just feel. And I remember talking with him, and in terms of what he did to help me seek myself, was he asked me a lot of questions. And in many ways, he validated a lot of the things that she just validated a lot of I can't talk validated a lot of things for me. And it would just be like, and it's not about agreeing, because I think a lot of people think, oh, well, I gotta agree with you. No, it's not about agreeing. It's about seeing the person, understanding, taking the time, because in this culture we move so quickly. And also he's a very introspective person. So he's somebody who can kind of like, just really introspective. And I just remember the feeling of this Black man like getting me. It was because, see, as women, we know that like oftentimes women are going to get us. Like we talk to our girlfriends, it's like, oh yeah, they get us. And the way we talk is like girl this and girl that. But a lot of times I don't think that that's going to translate over to a man. But he really took the time to hear what I was saying. And he was critical and he was analytical. But he would like ask me questions. And it was almost like coaching me. But to your question, Thomas, I think that's one of the things that Black men can do, is just kind of slow down and really kind of like probe and get women to really, because that's really what coaching is. You're probing, you're asking intentional questions to get the person to hear themselves. And you would be surprised how much, like, even in my YouTube video, that's one of the things I love about making videos. I actually learn about myself a lot, because if I just start talking, like a lot of times I don't even know how I feel about something until I'm just talking and talking and talking. Then I watch it back and I'm like, dang, I didn't even know I felt like that. So yeah, so hopefully that somewhat answers that first part. And then the second part is, what can Black women do for themselves to be more visible? Wow. I think this is actually something I'm going to be sharing in one of my next videos. I think one of the best things we can do is to stop depending on all the exteriors, and again, I sit here before you with a little bit of makeup on myself, but I think, one of the thing, again, this is a lot of sisterhood people don't like this, but the makeup is excessive, the weave is excessive, and my whole thing is, I don't even mind. I was having this conversation recently. It's like, at least let the texture, if you're gonna have weave in a wig, that's not bad, because I used to wear weaves and wigs, but can the texture at least mirror your natural texture? The nails, now we got all the surgery. And I think that's, and it's not to say that you can't indulge in any of that, but I'm a firm believer that the more women can kind of get in touch with, I don't know if you guys have been noticing in a lot of my videos, I'm not even wearing makeup now. I mean, I still will wear makeup, but that's something that I've been working on within myself. It's like, let me try to show up. If I want to have an authentic brand and be authentic, and I want people to connect to me, then I'm going to have to probably do things that maybe other women, Black women creators aren't doing. And one of those things is makeup. Because a lot of times when you're watching, Black women YouTube, any YouTuber, but right, I'm talking about Black women, you're seeing piles of makeup, and and that's fine. I get it, because people want that glam look. But the reality is that, to your question about how can we be more seen, take it all off, be raw, be authentic. Don't be afraid to, because people connect to that. People connect to authenticity, people connect to vulnerability. And YouTube, that's why YouTube is so amazing, is because unlike Instagram or in places like that where it's all about aesthetics, YouTube is more real. And you have the opportunity to connect with your audience in a real way. So yeah, I definitely think that investing less time and adding all this all this stuff to you, and more time in working on who you are on the inside, your thought process, your mindset, all of that stuff. So that's a great question. And I'm going to be wrapping up soon. I know I've been talking for like an hour, and I can talk. That's one thing about me. I do like to talk. And, even when I was little, I remember my dad used to always say, "Oh, you love to talk." So and that's one thing about doing live streams, is that, I'm like, oh, I can just keep going on and on and on. Whereas the recorded videos, it forces me to be more concise. And I've been working on being more, because people used to complain about me kind of rambling or whatever. Says many men struggle with invisibility too. I often hear men I know speak on how I was popular in high school. I didn't even notice. I didn't care. All I cared about was getting girls. Well, Gino, I appreciate you saying that, men struggle with invisibility, because one of my pieces of content is a YouTube short that did really well. Was it was a short about me talking about men, Black men especially, struggling with being invisible, and it really resonated. So I agree. And sometimes I think that that's actually why. Excuse me. Sometimes I think that's one of the reasons why I have more male followers, is because, like, I don't know. I don't know this to be true, but me talking about being invisible, somehow I feel like that resonates with men even more than women. And I could be wrong about that, but it just seems like men have been more honest about it. Like, a women will be like, "Well, what? What do you mean invisible? I'm not invisible." No, 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 no. Where a man could just be like, "It makes sense." It may, you guys, men are a lot more, usually not as complicated, I'll say. So, um, Established 87. I seen that video you did about yeah, I think you're saying invisible to men for 15 years. Oh, it broke my heart. Great video. Yes. Okay. So yeah, if you watch that video, I have been invisible to Black men for 15 years or something like that. You have an idea of why I talk about being, because a lot of people don't get it. Like, what are you talking about? You're invisible. Invisible. But like I said, if you kind of follow my journey, you'll see it. It's not all around. It's not like I'm like, oh, I walk outside and it's not about not getting attention. It's about certain things, where certain experiences that I've had, that I just felt extremely invisible for a very long time. And like I said, I'm not going to give all that away. You can definitely watch those videos, but thank you for referencing that. You said it's almost like, this is Lucy T. It's almost like we're looking like one another. Where's the individuality? It's an identity crisis on steroids. I love the makeup, etc., but it's just a lot. Exactly. Oh, hey, Mona D. Thank you. Thank you so much for the congrats, and thank you for being here. I appreciate you. Yeah, Mona D, subscribe to her channel. She has amazing content. Can't remember. I watched one of your last videos, Mona. I can't remember which one, but you put out some really, really hot takes that I do appreciate. And that's the thing. I'm subscribed, and I actually watch a lot of small creators. Like, I mean, of course, I know all the big creators. You know, I see their videos, but I'm really, really into like many of the smaller creators like me. So, um, but yeah, definitely individuality is so important, and that is essentially what I want to cultivate on this channel. I want to be, um, yeah, I don't want to be like everyone else. I don't, you know, I mean, the other black female creators, they do what they do their thing. They do an amazing job. Aesthetics is their brand, but that is just not me. Because if I got to put on a full face of makeup to make a video, it's not. There's some videos it's not gonna get made, like for real, because I don't have the patience for all of that. To be honest with you, and I also don't think it's good for my skin. So, all right, I'm just looking to see if there's anything else that I wanted to share before I jump off. I think I pretty much hit most of the points on here. Yeah, I think I hit most of the points on here. Thank you so very much, um, all of you for uh, yeah, thank you, Mona. I appreciate again all of you for this journey has been really amazing, and I don't know how long it's gonna last. You know, I mean, you being a YouTuber is not necessarily a lifetime career. I mean, it could be for some people. I mean, some people have been on here for 10 years, and I might be on here. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what's gonna happen, but I do. You know, I don't take it lightly. Like, and again, I want to put this in perspective for the people who have channels. I know a lot of people who follow me actually are creators themselves. Don't underestimate the 100 views or the 50 views or the 500 views or the 1,000. Like, that is a lot. And the internet will have you thinking that, like, it's not. But if 1,000 people clicked, that's a lot because of, you know, I mean, because in person, I mean, when have I rarely give talks to rooms full of over 1,000 people. That really doesn't happen often. But on a week to week basis, if you're having 1,000, 500, 200 people watch your video, just know that is actually very powerful. And again, will it equate to a lot of money? Maybe not. But will it equate to major impact? Absolutely. And so just know that for yourselves. And yeah, thank you for spending this morning with me. I wasn't sure. I was like, oh, I'm going live in the morning. Like, people probably at work. So I don't know if you're able to kind of step away here and there. And hopefully some of you will watch this back. And it's just been a good time. So please do support the channel. Black woman owned multimedia company, Curated Legacy. Really quick to recap, just in case you didn't hear me. Um, the multimedia is I do a newsletter only once a year because I'm a one woman show and it's a lot of work. So I do have a newsletter that I put out once a year. I have 2 books. I have a children's book with my mom. I have a memoir, My Own Gaze, Memoir of an Invisible Black Woman, available on Amazon. Uh, when I say multimedia, that also includes obviously my videos, and encompassed within my multimedia company. I offer coaching and consulting for creative people who want to get started and grow. And what I deal with, because it's me, is mindset. So a lot of, you know, when it comes to coaching and consulting, it's about mindset. And so I am a coach now. I've been a coach for it's 9 years, but then a combined 10 because I did some coaching on the side. So I have a decade of experience as a coach. And so if you if you know somebody or if you yourself want coaching, and again, it's not about, I mean, I think people think it's like, oh, well, obviously it's easy to start my own YouTube channel. It's not about coaching you to start, like literally to set up your channel, because anybody can do that. It's about mindset. And it's about all the things as creative people that we struggle with. And I think I said earlier that before I got on YouTube, before I wrote my first book, I used a coach. I used 2 coaches because this is not easy, and I know I'm wrapping things up, but just so you all know, the majority of businesses fail. The majority of YouTube channels fail. And by fail, it just means that the majority of YouTube channels and businesses just never take off. We talked earlier about validation, like they just never get enough validation to keep going. That is real. Like, see, what we see is, and what people don't realize even about YouTube is that like the top creators, and even we can talk about Black YouTube. Let's just confine it to Black YouTube. The top creators, we all know the channels with 200,000, whatever, 300, 400, 500,000 subscribers. Those channels are like, the majority of people are like watching those channels, right? So it creates this perception that, oh, everybody's, there's so many people with channels over 100,000. And the reality is YouTube is big. So it appears like there's a lot of channels that are big, but the majority, 90%, 90% of channels on YouTube are small. And 90% of channels on YouTube are not growing. And 90% of channels on YouTube, again, like they consider that, and I don't, fail is a strong word. I don't like to use that, but they consider 90% of channels fail, and like I said, failure is relative, because perhaps those people, even if they have 10 subscribers, maybe to them it's a success because they're still doing it, right? But according to like the quote standards set by, YouTube, they consider 90% of channels as failures. And so to make it in, I've made it into the top 10% because I have over 10,000. So again, and these are just little, I don't know if you care about all this stuff, but they say if you have over 10,000 subscribers, you're like in the top 10%. And now obviously once you get, now you get over into over 100,000 subscribers and that type of thing. And, then you're like in the top, I don't know, I'm just making this up, maybe 1%, whatever. The point is this: the majority of people watching YouTube are watching a small subset of creators. And there's all these creators who, for whatever reason, are not growing. And by the way, it's not because a lot of times it's not because their content isn't good. Believe me, YouTube has been doing this thing lately where they're putting small creators out there more. So a lot of you might have been seeing smaller channels. Smaller channels are popping up on our home feeds more regularly. And YouTube is doing that to give smaller creators a chance. And there's a lot of people with very small followings with amazing content, right? Amazing content. But you don't know who they are. And so I say all that to say, like, just put it in perspective that no matter how many views you have, like if you have a community, even if your community is 10, 15 people, that's a community. And if you have people who are consistently showing up, who are consistently liking and commenting, that's your community. And that is really who you're making the videos for. And those people, hopefully, as Broken Traditions said earlier, hopefully those people will go and tell other people. They will talk to people, like Broken Traditions was talking about, him and his wife talking about the BBL epidemic. Hopefully they will tell other people about who you are, and those people will watch your videos. And that's really what it's about. It's not about getting everybody online to subscribe and that type of thing, because it's just, that's not going to be our ministry. That's not the plight of every YouTuber. It's just not. And so I kind of rambled there, but I say all this to say that I don't take that 19,000. I take that 19,000 with great humility, and like, I really appreciate it. And I know that a lot of that 19,000, they're not, consistently watching, but they may tap in here and there, and and so I appreciate it so much, because I know how hard the journey is on this platform, and that the majority of content will not get seen. The good content that just won't be seen by the masses. because of the algorithm, because of the audience, because people's taste change, trends change, things people want to talk about change. Everything's always changing, right? You can't chase that. And this is why I love channels like Mona D, why I love channels like Broken Traditions, because regardless of what trends are going on, they're going to be consistently giving you quality content, things, kind of like nuances in the Black community, things that other people aren't talking about. And another thing too, mainstream media, because I'm very critical of mainstream media. There's a lot that's left out. Like a lot of things we don't hear. And I know Broken Traditions talks a lot about this, but a lot of things that we don't even know about that is just completely erased from mainstream media. And that is why YouTube is so important. That is why Black YouTube is so important, is because we have the opportunity to create our own stories and to showcase our own, to highlight, what's going on in the community in a way that mainstream media would never do. And so even if you want to go back to me talking about BBLs, yeah, I'm gonna upset some Black women, unfortunately. But guess what? Mainstream media wants you to get those BBLs because they want to keep making that money. They're not going to tell you about the people who die. They're not going to tell you about the women who are experiencing extreme complications. They're just not going to tell you about it. You're not going to. And so, and it's because people like myself that we're able to kind of see a different side of certain things. So anyway, I told you guys I could talk. I think I made that very apparent in this. I literally could, oh my gosh, it's been almost like 2 hours. So I am not going to hold you too much longer. Thank you so very much for being here. And stay tuned for, I'm not going to be putting out a video this week, but next week I have a good one, I think, a good one coming for you. But I will be putting out some shorts. So please do, if you're not watching my shorts, please check out my shorts. And I'll talk to you later. Bye, everybody. Thanks again.